Hey everybody, it's me, Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi out here in Northern California. I hope you're feeling safe. I hope you're feeling healthy. And I wanted to make this video today because I know for myself, when I'm making art, it creates an oasis of peace and calm. And it's always been that way my whole life. Whenever I've created, I've always gone to a place of relaxation and ease. And that's part of the reason why I make all these YouTube videos, is so that others can feel the same way. So what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks here at Tangled Yogi is something that we're calling a create-a-thon. So during this time of social distancing, I thought it would be great to get our community together and make art. Because what could be better than making art, making ourselves relaxed and at ease and sharing with each other. So you can go onto Facebook, and on Facebook we have something called the Tangled Yogi Art Community, and I hope you'll join that. And then you can find out all sorts of information on Tangled Yogi. That also has its own separate Facebook page, and I post all my classes there. And if you want to know more about Tangled Yogi, I have tangledyogi.com, where all sorts of information is there. The store is there, so you can buy tiles and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you'll join us, and I hope you enjoy this video. Know that I'm thinking about you, and I so look forward to spending time with you over the next couple of weeks as we create together. So let's meditate, breathe, and create. I'll see you soon. Okay, so hi everyone. We are going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to be working with a really fun tangle, and the name of the tangle is called Sim, S-I-M, and it was created by Elena Light, and I love her work. She's wonderful. You can find her on Facebook as well. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be creating on these hexagon type shapes. And here at Tangled Yogi, we happen to have a tile. It's called the Honeycomb Tile. And you can pick these up at tangledyogi.com in the Tangled Yogi store. For $12, you get 15 tiles, and they're made with this really wonderful material that's super smooth and great for receiving color and ink. It's great. It just drinks it right up. So this is the tangle that we are going to be doing. Let's figure out what we're going to need for class. So I recognize that not everybody's going to be able to purchase tiles right now from tangledyogi.com. If you can purchase some tiles, you're helping me to stay afloat during this difficult time where a lot of us are out of work and we are just doing the best that we can. But if you can't, I did some research and I found a place called patternuniverse.com, and you can go there and download a free 5-inch hexagon template, and you can print that out on computer paper, or if you've got nice cardstock at home, you can also print it out on that, and that will make it easier for you to do this little project. If not, you can also just do a square and put Sim in the square. There's no reason why you can't make any adaptation to make it work for you. So let's get ourselves started. We're going to need to have a Micron PN pen, and if you don't have a PN, you could use an 01, or you could use a fine tip black pen. Those are great. Uniball makes a really nice pen that I love. It's called the Micro. They also have another one called the Vision. Those are both really great ones. Then the other thing that we're going to need to have is some colored pencils. I'm a real big fan of the Prismas because I think they're a great product. If you are at home and you've got kiddos, you can go ahead and raid their little Crayola box and have some fun with the color pencils that they have. Anything will work, just to make yourself have a good time and enjoy and just be creative. All right, so there it is. You can pick Prismas up online. Blix has them, Flax has them. I'm sure Amazon has them too. So there you go. All right, so let's get started. All right, so if you know me and you've taken my videos before, you know that I like to do a little bit of meditation in the beginning of the video. So go ahead and take a comfortable seated position, however that works for you inside your body today. And let your feet touch down onto the floor. Let your back make connection to the chair that you're sitting in. Allow your eyes to close. You can place your hands in your lap with the palms facing up. That'll help your shoulders to relax. And just take a moment to notice the sounds around you. Notice the sound of your breath moving in and moving out. Allow your shoulders to relax away from your ears, softening in your chest and in your belly, relaxing through the thighs and the knees, the calves and the ankles, letting go through the feet, softening through the arms and the elbows, the forearms and the wrists, and letting go through the hands. And then connecting with your breath here, feeling the breath as it rolls in and the body expands. Feeling the breath as it rolls out, feeling the body release and relax. As you inhale, feeling the body expand. And as you exhale, feel the body release. And one more time, inhaling, nice deep breath in. And exhaling out. So I heard a really great quote the other day, and it was that gratitude interrupts anxiety. And I really, really loved that quote. I just thought it just made so much sense for right now where we are. So I'd like you to think now of 3 things that you're grateful for today. Just 3 things, and it could be, your situation where you are, if you're with family. It could be, that your pets are with you. Whatever it is, I took a really nice walk this morning, and I was grateful for my walk. So whatever it was, just taking a moment to feel into that gratitude. And let's take one more deep breath right here. Let it go with a sigh. And then begin to wiggle in your fingertips and wiggle in your toes. Gently blink your eyes open. And let's get ready to create. Okay, so let's get started. One of the things that I neglected to mention is you are going to need a graphite pencil to create your string for when we start early on. So go ahead and grab a graphite pencil here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start to divide the space inside of the hexagon. So I'm just going to do the regular old-fashioned Zentangle way here. I'm just going to go from point to point. So I'm just going to divide the space by making a line that's going straight down. And you'll notice that I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on my pencil to create that line. It's just a guide for myself. So I'm going to turn my tile in Zentangle fashion and connect my sides here. And I'm going to go ahead one more time and connect. So you can see now that I have this really nice space in which I can work. So I've got all these nice little triangles in which we can work, and that's going to make things much more interesting. Now, a lot of people are intimidated by drawing large circles, and so I always like to use a coin. You guys have seen me do it before. So what I'm doing is I'm just placing my coin in the center of the piece to help me draw a little circle here. And my coin, I would say, is about an inch wide here. I'm using a quarter for those of you who are Americans, but I know we have international viewers as well. So there you have it. I've got my little circle on the inside, and you can see that I'm not totally perfect with my placement, and I'm not too concerned about it. Remember, this is Zentangle, where we are making art that just makes us happy. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to let go of that, and if you need to pause me right here, this is a great place to pause me. Otherwise, we are just going to keep on rolling. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in right here at the top, and I'm going to just blow this up so I make it really easy here. So I have this really nice line right here, and I'm going to come down, I would say about an inch away from the top, and I'm going to make a dot. And I'm going to do the same thing as I turn my tile. I'm just going to make a dot going around on each line, just like so. And trust me, you won't see these in the end. These are just guidelines for you as we create the piece. So you can see that it almost looks like I have little planets that are orbiting the sun here, yeah? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the letter S. Some of you have heard me use that type of language before with my classes. I always try to use letters because people have a good association with them. So we're going to be using the letter S, and we're going to be doing narrow S's here. So you're going to see me come down. I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to cross that line, and then I'm going to come back up again. Now watch. I'm going to curve in, and I'm going to create a little teardrop. Then I'll go to the next one and I'll do the same thing. Now, if you're right-handed, you will probably go counterclockwise. Because I am left-handed, I'm just going to go clockwise. So I'm just going to start at the top, make my S, come in, and voila. Now, what I want you to notice is that there's a little space in between here. That's very important. We want to keep that space there. So I'm going to turn, I'm going to come in, make my S, leave a little space, make that little teardrop on the end, and just keep on rolling. So I'm turning my tile, making my S, making that little teardrop. Notice the space in between here. Turning my tile, make the S, make your little teardrop, leave a little space. Last one right here. Turn, create, make that tear. Look at how nice those spaces are in between. Look at those S's. They're so fun. So go ahead and pause me here, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're going to build off of those S's here. So you can see that I have this S right here, and I'm just going to blow that up so that you can really see what I'm up to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a curve coming off of that S, and notice that I'm just going to put a teardrop on the inside. So I'm going to turn, go to the next one, make that curve, and make that teardrop. Turning, make the rest of the curve, and teardrop. Turning, make that curve, and teardrop. One more time, make that curve, teardrop out. Last one right here. Here we go. Make that curve. So now that when I move out, you can see all those S's. Now there's so many things that you could do with this right now. It just is a multitude of things. This template is so much fun to work with, but we're just going to keep on rolling. If you need to pause me here, this is a great place to pause. So let's continue on. We're going to build off of this S here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in right here, right at the top of that S, and we're going to build. So I'm going to use the line that I have right here, and I'm just going to let it fly right up. We're going to create a little hat for this guy. And then I'm going to aura the side of the S, and then I'm going to drop back in. So you can see that I was auraing that line. I came down and I auraed right there. So I'll go to the next one and I'll do the same exact thing. So I'm going to use this curve to fly off. So I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to come down, and I'm going to create. I'm going to come up, then I'll use that aura, and I'll create. Turning, going up, and then down, and then right back in again. Turning, going up, and coming right back down, and joining in. Here we go. Up, and around. And can you believe it? We're already back to center again. Pretty easy. So when I scroll out, you can see that we've got this really neat shape that's starting to develop. I really love it. So let's go ahead and catch up with each other, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so we're going to continue building. Hopefully you've had a chance to go around and create all your pieces here. So I'm just going to jump off of the side of these guys and build a little bit more. So you'll see that I have this little area right in here. I'm going to come down and create what looks like a little V line. Can you see that? Let's make that nice and big for you. Once I have that little V line here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura this line. So watch, I'm just going to go ahead and drop right back in and connect to that center line. I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to go off again, see that V, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop right back in again and squeeze into the space. So it almost has like this fan effect. If you've ever done Showgirl or Biscus, this is a very similar tangle to that. So I'm going to turn, and let's do it again. So I'm going to make a little V coming off the side here, and then I'm going to aura this line right here. Aura just means I'm copying that line or echoing that line right in there. Coming off the side again, notice there's the V again, and then we're going to just drop right back in. So notice how I'm using letters here. It definitely gives you a sense of reference. So I'm going ahead. This one got a little wiggle in his hat, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and come off, make that V, and rejoin in. Come off and make the V, and rejoin in. So there you have it. Go ahead and finish the last 3 on your own, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around. So now we're going to build a little bit more. And you know those spaces that I was talking about in between? We're going to build some pieces in there as well. So you can see that I'm going to blow up this S right here and make it nice and clean for you. So you can see that there's a curve right here on the S. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the top of the curve, and I'm going to make that V line. See how there's the V again? And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to aura this line and come back in. So I'm just going to go right back into center. See how that happened? Let's do it again. I'm going to jump off. There's the V that I'm looking for. And then I'll aura this line and come right back to center. I'm going to do one more and come right back to center. See how that happened? Let's do it again together. Here's my next S, coming up to the top of the curve, and I'm just going to make a diagonal. There's the V. You can see that. I'm going to aura this line and come right back to center. Coming off, make the V, and right back to center. Off, make the V, and right back to center. And if you only have room for 2, that's fine. If you have room for 3, that's great. Some of you may even have room for more. However it works out, that's just fine. So let's go ahead and come up off the top here. Make that V. There it is. And aura the line. Come up and aura, up and aura. Turning the tile, coming to the next S, make the V, and come back and in, make the next one, and one more. So now you know where we're going. Go ahead and finish the next 2, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are. Let's continue on here. We're going to do a variation on a tangle that I absolutely love. This is definitely a mac and cheese Zentangle for me. So Zinger is one that I've taught to a lot of you in my classes. And so the variation that we're going to do on it is that our zingers are going to connect a little bit. So I'm just going to come in right here. You can see I've got my petals right in here, and I'm just going to choose a spot. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a nice wiggly S coming down and back into the petal here. Now to create Zinger, you can go ahead and aura. And so I'll just go ahead and I will aura and make a nice tight aura of it. And then I'm going to put in a little frowny face right at the top. Now, once you have that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to build off of it. And this is where the variation is going to come in. So a lot of people just do Zinger with lines going right off the top and then let it go. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build what I call the wedding cake. And you can see that it just builds this cute little flower-like shape. And then we're going to add a couple of little dots around it. And some of you guys have heard me say that I was nicknamed Rom Dot by some of my friends because I love dots so much. So we're going to add a couple of little dots around our Zinger here. So let's go to the next one and do the exact same thing. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to put a nice long narrow S, and then I'm going to give it a little aura. Once I have the aura, I'll put my little frowny face on it. And then I'm going to build it up and make a little wedding cake out of it. So there's my little Zinger there. And now I'm going to add some dots and some dots up here as well. I'll go around and do one more with you. So a nice long S and a nice long aura right next to it. Little frowny face. Build my little wedding cake. And then I'll add some dots. Go ahead and go around and finish up the rest of them, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to work a little bit more with this. We're going to work with the center here. So you can see that I haven't had a chance to flesh out that central piece. And I know a lot of people are intimidated by circles. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close the gap in here. So you can see that I have a little space where I can close the gap. So I'm just going to go ahead and close my gap and turn the tile and just kind of clean up those lines, because the other lines will definitely be there to give it some definition, but you can see that I'm just closing up those gaps. And that gives that circle a little bit more definition without having to sit there and draw a perfect circle. Okay, so we're going to do one last tangle here, and that tangle, I have heard it referred to as Caviar. I've also referred to it as Eagle Eye, and if you know me, you know I love tipple. That's my favorite. So Caviar and Eagle Eye both look very similar to tipple. Some people call it snake eye too. So here we are. I'm going to go up towards the top here, and I'm going to add a couple of circles in here. So you know me, I like to vary up the size of the tipple that I do. So I'm just going to do a couple of these, and I'll do a little small one right in there. Now, to build this a little bit and make it interesting, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dot and bring it into the center and build it out until I get a nice border around the outside of that circle. I'll do the same thing right in here, coming in, making that dot, getting that nice border, and one more right here. So you can see that it's got a nice fun, festive feel to it. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to add a fairly large tipple there, and then I'll add a medium-sized one and a small one. And then I'll come in, and I will do one of these, one of these, and one of these. So go around and add those into these little crevices. Let's do one more together. So you can see that I'm on my petals here, and I'm just going in. And you know, I'm just adding 3. 3 is the magic number, I think. So my Zentangle teacher taught me that it's more interesting if things are in odd numbers rather than even numbers. It's something about the eye, the way the eye works. And so I do really enjoy working in 3s. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to do the same thing. Here's another one. And I'll get that in there. And I'm just turning my tile and going for it. So you go ahead and do the rest. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are, and I've had a chance to go around and do some of the caviar or the snake eyes, however you want to refer to it as. Now, what I want to say about this is I kind of went a little hog wild with it and kind of floated them around in some of the pieces as well. And it's always fun to play and let it kind of get away from you a little bit. We're not going to be coloring those in per se, so we don't have to worry about them too much. All right, so we are going to carry on, and what I want to do is I want to talk about our little tails in here. So we're going to come into the area that looks like the sun in here, and you can see that I have this little tail where the teardrop is. I'm just going to go ahead and puddle those in, and by doing that, it's just going to give a little bit of definition to the piece as well. So we're just going to let those get puddled in here and go around and finish up your little tails, and I'll see you in a minute. Now I'm also going to come in and do a little bit more with the top of the S. So we've done the bottom of the S, but now we're going to come into this tail right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in as well. So I'm just turning my tile and filling those in just like so. And you can see that, it only takes a moment to get through each one. And remember, the lighter you go with your pen, the more the ink flows, right? So I've got these down. So now we're going to start to think about what kind of colors we want to start doing, because that was the end of all the tangling that we're going to do on this piece. We may add some dots in a little bit, but for right now, that is what we're going to do. So we're going to start to focus on the center piece in here, and every time I've done it a little bit differently. This one I made it look very earthy and globe-like. And then on this one, I did it where it had kind of a pinkish feel to it. And then this one, I had like a very amber feel to it. So I want you to think about the color that you want to see in the center of your piece. We will be carrying most of those colors, so think about that as well. So I'm going to let those guys go off to the side, and I'm going to go with a really pretty kind of deep purple for this one. So I'm going to start with this really nice purple dahlia. It's one of my favorites that I love to work with. And so I've got that color there. And I'm just going to start by shading a little bit on the side here. Now, for those of you who know me, and let me just do a quick little color theory with you, you know that each pencil that you have has 3 different colors. You have your light, you have your medium, and you have your dark. Now, if you're working with a light color, say you're working with a yellow, it's harder to discern the difference between the light, the medium, and the dark with a yellow, so you may want to have an orange nearby just to give you a little bit of depth. So if you're working with a light green, you'll want to have a dark green. If you're working with a light blue, you'll want to have a dark blue. You get the idea, right? So because the color that I'm working with right now has so much pigment in it, I'm not going to have to do that because it's a dark color to begin with. So I'm really just going with the concept of this is a very, very light touch that I'm putting down on the piece, and I'm just coming in and starting to shade through here with that really nice kind of light tension. So I'm not doing a whole bunch of heavy pushing on that pencil. I'm really just giving it a nice light feel. So once I've got that and I've shaded in, and you can see that I'm shading in a circular like fashion, and let's blow this up just a little bit so you can really see how that's working out. So the pencil is working in a circular like motion so that I get a really nice soft misty feel with that pencil. Now once I've got that, I can go ahead and go in and start to press a little bit harder. So I'm going to come in with a little bit of heavier tension. And you can see that that heavier tension is starting to give me a nice medium tone. And that's really what we're going for. We're going for a really nice medium tone here. So we want to have our light, we want to have our medium, and we want to have our dark. So now once I have that and I've gained that nice medium, I'm going to go ahead and give it an extra special push. So now we're starting to get a little bit more intensity on that color, and you can see that I'm getting that really beautiful, rich, dark purple, which I love. It's almost like a violet color. And so I'm just getting in there, letting that shade up a little bit. Now I'm going to press really, really hard around the edges just to give it that extra glow that I'm going for. So you can see that I'm really going hard on those edges and getting the orbness that I'm looking for. Now, for some of you, you may end up with lines of demarcation where it looks really hard between the medium and the soft. And one of the things you can do is you can take a color that's complementary. So I've got this really nice light lavender here, and I'm going to go ahead and just start to buff that lavender throughout the entire piece here. And you can see that that's going to soften the color here. It's going to give it a little bit of a blend. And I always like to see a little bit more softness in my colors, but if you like seeing a little bit more of a hard edge, that's totally fine. So you can see that just by rolling through here with that lavender, I've gotten this really nice blend to happen on the piece. And I've got that nice light area right in here that's going to give me that highlight that I'm going for. So you can see that that's really gained some interest there. So go ahead, do your center, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I've got that nice purple color in there, and I'm going to start to build out with this color. So we're calling this carrying color, when we take a color from one part of the piece and bring it out to another part of the piece. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start to carry that color up into this area right in here, and you can see that it's right in that central channel that I'm talking about. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to very, very lightly start to shade in to this area right here that I'm at. So I'm just putting down the lightest color first. And then once I've got that light color down, I'm going to create a shadow here. And that shadow is going to be this petal looking like it's sitting on top of this petal. So I'm going to go right where that line is, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to shade. You can see that that pencil's working in a circular-like motion. I'm leaving the highlight on the edge. See how that's staying light there? We want to keep that highlight on the edge. Now, once I've got that medium color, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to work a little bit heavier with that pencil. So I'm giving it a little bit more pressure. And then once I have that pressure in there, you can see that it's starting to develop that really nice shadow in the piece. I can go in a little bit more and add a little bit more. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to soften it up with that lighter color. You can see that I'm just doing a little bit of blending in there with that lighter color. And that really creates a nice softness, doesn't it? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go around to each one and we're going to do the same. So it's the second petal. You can see there's the first, there's the second. Let's do it one more time together. So we go in, we shade light. You can see that I'm just getting in there, going nice and light. Once we've got that light color in there, nice and saturated, you want to make sure that there's no white poking through, a good saturation of that light color. Then we'll go in with that medium pressure. Getting in with the medium pressure here, working in that nice circular motion. And then once you've done that nice circular motion, you're going to go a little bit heavier. And then finally, we're going to come in with that lighter color, and we're just going to give that a nice softness. So there you have it. Let's go around and do the rest of these pieces, and I'll see you in a minute. Have fun. Don't forget to breathe, relax your shoulders. This is all about just getting into the creative flow. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to go all the way around and do the piece. So we're going to start to build off of this a little bit more, and I'm going to work with really gemstone type like colors for this piece. So I've got a really nice kind of sapphire blue here, and I've got a nice dark navy blue that I'm going to use with it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start to work right inside of the S's here. And so what that's going to look like is, we're going to blow this up here so you can really see what we're up to. And I'm just going to come in very, very lightly with that sapphire blue. Just getting that in there, nice light texture of color. Really just blending that all right in. And then once I've got that nice blend of color in on that little S there, I'm going to start to do some shading right along the S itself. We want it to look like this has got a little bit of depth to it. So I'm going to stick with the same color that I'm in, and I'm going to very, very gently add a little bit more pressure to the pencil so I don't break the tip. And you can see that I'm starting to bring in that shadow. That shadow is going to give me a little bit of depth for the piece. So I've got this really nice shadow that I'm working with. I'm coming about halfway out from the piece itself. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that navy blue and I'm going to bring it in right underneath that line. You can see that it's starting to give me a little bit of a glow just by getting in there and going right along the edge here. Now I'm going to want to blend in that darker purple, so I'm going to, or rather that dark blue, so I'm going to come back in with that lighter blue and just give it a little bit of softness right on the edge. And then once I have that softness right on the edge, I'm going to start to let it fade out into the other blue. So I'm going much, much lighter when I get to the outside edge. And you can see that just by softening my hand there, it gives it a really nice blend out. So go ahead, we're going to do all of these guys all the way around. I'll see you in a minute. All right, so you can see that I've had a chance to go around. We're going to add a new color into the piece here, and I'm sticking with those gemstone colors. I'm really enjoying them here. So I've got a really nice kind of wheat brown kind of color. It's almost like a yellowy wheat color. And then I've got a really pretty terracotta that I'm going to use for my shading with it. So I'm going to come into this last piece right here and add that. So we're going to go right in there. And I've got my light color first, so I'm going in with that really pretty wheat brown, and I'm just filling into that area. Now once I've got that color in there, I'm going to do the same technique that I did before. Now on this one, because my color is so light, I have to switch over to the darker color. So I'm going to get in there, and I've got this really pretty terracotta, and I'm very, very lightly starting to use that terracotta. Now, here's the deal. Whenever you have a color that has so much more pigment than the original color that you were working with, you want to keep it nice and light, nice and soft. So I'm just barely touching the paper with my pencil to give it that kind of softness that I'm looking for. Now, once I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to press a little bit harder and give it a little extra depth. And then once I have that, I'll move on to the next one. But you can see how that just gives that such a neat little highlight. You're going from a blue to a purple to a warmer color. I just think it's such an interesting dichotomy. Now the other thing that we're going to do with this very same color is we're going to bring those into here. And we'll come back and we'll do that in a minute, but I'd rather you go around and finish all of these first. So go ahead, do these first, and I'll see you soon. Remember, relax, soften through your shoulders, and just go at it with a really fun spirit. All right, so you can see there we are We've got those three colors. It almost looks like it's dancing. It's such a happy little tangle. I really do like this one a lot. So we talked about carrying this color, and we're going to take that color right there. So I'm going to grab that wheat color that we have here, and let's blow this up and make it nice and big for you guys so you can see. So what I'm going to do is, let's go for this one because this one right here is nice and well formed. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to lay down that color right there. So I've got the color in there now. You can see I'm not being overly careful, but I am making sure that none of that white is poking through. Now I'm going to take that terracotta and I'm going to start to develop the shadow. So you can see this S right here is going to need to have a shadow on it. So we're going to come in and create the shadow nice and soft. And then we'll come in with a little bit more pressure and create that shadow there. Do the same thing right over here. So we're just developing the shadow right in here. And then getting in there with the color. Same thing right here. Nice and soft. You can see that that develops a really nice shadow on the piece there. So go ahead, you're going to go into each one of these and do the same color that you're using here. So remember, you don't have to be using the same colors as me. I'm just giving suggestions here. Okay? All right, go for it and have fun. All right, so here we are. Woohoo, this is just getting so fun. I like it. I'm going to carry that color one more time here. I'm going to take that color and I'm going to bring it up into our zinger here. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill this guy in. So I've got that in there. And then once I have that nice and saturated, I'll grab that darker color, and on the edges here, I'm going to do some medium tension. Notice how I'm leaving light in the center of the zinger here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press. Now a little bit harder right on the outside edges, and that starts to give it that really cute glow that I'm looking for. So go ahead, do your zingers, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so now we've got our zingers done. We're going to go ahead and we're going to carry a color one more time, and that's going to go into the stem of the zinger here. So let's just zoom in on this guy right here. I'm going to take that purple that I was using over here, and I'm going to bring it into his stem. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very, very lightly start to shade up the zinger, and I'm just going to go from both directions, and then when I get to the middle of the zinger stem, I'm going to leave it light. You can see that there's some white there. I'm going to add a little darkness at the top where the stem meets the zinger, and at the bottom where the stem meets the sun that's at the bottom. Yeah. So I'm just getting in there and cleaning that up. So we're going to just leave that nice and light and then have that darkness progress. So you can see that if I get in there nice and close, that's what it looks like. So go around, do your stems, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to go all the way around, we are going to start to work with the background. This piece is really coming along. I'm so enjoying it. Love the colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with those gemstone colors still. So we've got, you know, this amber color, we've got amethyst and a sapphire, and now I've got this foresty green that almost comes off like an emerald green, which that's why I'm choosing it. So I'm going to just come into this section right up here, and I'll be doing the demo from the top up so that you don't have to watch me do the whole piece. So I'm just going to go in, and you can see that I've sharpened my pencil so that I have a nice long lead there, and I'm just going in and starting to shade. Now notice that I'm just going in very, very lightly and shading that whole area. And I'm using the circular motion that I talked about earlier. If you're doing this, you're going to get lines. If you keep that pencil moving in a circular like motion, you're going to get a softness. And that's really what I'm shooting for. If you like a little bit of edginess to your lines, then go for it. But otherwise, I'm just going to stick with this kind of soft feeling. So I'm just getting in there, adding that color. And you can see that I'm just going around my little snake eyes here, trying not to get too much color in them. I want them to pop against the background. So I'm just getting in there and shading that up. Once I have that area shaded, and I think I'm pretty good here right now, I'm going to blow this up so that you can really see what I'm up to. We're going to create more shadow here. So you can see I've got this whole area right in here in which I can create a shadow. Now, some of you have been in my Zoom classes, my online classes. You know that I've talked about how I love to fly. Well, I love takeoff with flying. And I love to look at the coastline here in California because you always see the beautiful shadow against the coastline where the water is. And I just think it's so beautiful. So I want you to think of it aerially in terms of looking down at a coastline. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to shade in with a little bit more of pressure on my pencil. And you can see that pencil's still moving in that circular like motion, and I'm starting to bring in the shadow. So I've got that shadow that's starting to build. And then once I've got that shadow built, I'll go all the way up, and I'll get in there near that caviar. Now I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add a little bit of that extra pressure right around the edge here. So you can see that it's starting to develop that really nice glow right in here. Isn't that really pretty? Oof, that green is just electric. I love it. All right, so what you're going to do is you're also going to come around in here and create a shadow. So the shadow will be also on the inside. So I'm coming right in here, making a little shadow. Getting into that little coastline. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that nice heavy dark line right in there. Really want to get it to glow. Yeah, so fun. Okay, so now you know where you're going. You'll do the inside on the big S and you'll do the outside of that too. Go around, do your color. This should take a while, so really enjoy being saturated in it. Just let yourself be completely absorbed in the moment. So, I was talking to my students the other day and I talked about a quote that I thought was really great. It said, "Let gratitude interrupt anxiety." And so I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to create with you and do this. So practicing a little gratitude in the moment to be creative and have this time to create. All right, I'll see you soon. Okay, so here we are. How fun is that? It really turned out great. I'm enjoying this thoroughly. So, if this is where you want to jump off and call it finished, that is a great place to call it finished. But I have just the hankering to do a little bit extra. And so I have my white pen. Most of you have seen that I'm a big fan of the Uniball Signo white pen. And if you have one of these pens at home, you could go ahead and grab it now. I'm going to add just a little bit of reflection inside of this piece here. You can see that I'm just going to give it a little bit of a reflection there, or a little shine as it were. And then I might even go ahead and go into some of the S's that we have. So you can see in the darkness here of the S, I might go ahead and just add a little bit of lightness into the piece. Coming down and around, just giving it a little bit of that kind of extra detailing. If you don't have one of these, it's no big deal. And you can always wait until after, you know, what I was thinking is the one thing that Amazon's probably not running out of, art supplies. They're running out of toilet paper, but they're not running out of art supplies. So you could probably order this pen right off of Amazon. And I bet you it would probably even show up on Prime, just because you can hear all those ads now where they're hiring so many people to work for them right now because of the demand. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing a little bit of that really fun reflection or shine in the piece itself. So if you have one of these pens, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have one of these pens, go ahead and order one, because they're a lot of fun. And they don't cost much. I think they're maybe like $3 on Amazon. Or you could try Blix, or you could try Flax to support your local art stores. Those are always great. Jerry's Artorama, that's always another great place to get stuff. So, and even Jet Pen. Jet Pen is a great company as well. They've got a lot of good stuff. So with that said, go ahead if you've got your white pen and finish up, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we have reached the end of our session together. It's time to put our chop in there. Chop is just your initial, just to say that you've completed the meditation or the Zentangle. So I'm going to come in right down here and put my little R right there. So I'm just going to go right in there and add my little chop there. So I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up or leave us a nice review on YouTube. That would be most helpful. If you are interested in more of my classes, check out all of the Tangled Yogi classes on YouTube. You can also go and visit us on my website, and it has a connection to my YouTube page, and you can see all of the fun stuff that I have there. If you want to check out the Honeycomb Tile, those are at tangledyogi.com, so please go and check those out and support me in my endeavor here of continuing to teach during this time. And then finally, please check us out on Facebook, Tangled Yogi on Facebook, or you can also go to the Tangled Yogi Art community page and share your work there. We have a really lovely community of students that shares their work and shares being supportive of each other. And during this time where we need each other now more than ever, that community is something really special. I also post all of my classes there. So my Zoom classes are posted there, and all of my YouTube classes are posted there. So I hope you'll join me, and I look forward to seeing what you create. So once again, this is Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi, signing off. Until we tangle again.